look at it like, give me a little early, because it does kind of, you think it's going to be instantaneous and then of course. Yeah, it is that. Except for like that, so then it shows you, yeah, it is. And then you can utilize this. The only technical overview is that we can, I can go to that if you want.
No, there's no, like, calculating underneath.
Hi. So I'll turn it off.
There are no rules to say you can't have alcohol on the diet.
There's no CUI?
No.
I walked out.
Sorry, Krista, I don't plant a seed or anything.
Let me text Nick, he'll bring us.
I walked out and Larry's like, you realize that's a wine. And I've used a million times for tea, and he's right. But it's a wine, it's like a wine thing. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, it's
Do we
not.
want this thing to be live streamed now?
Shit. Let me just make sure that I'm right.
Oh wait, we're gonna be live streaming?
Are we live?
Yeah.
Can't talk about our wine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Eric is our
Technician tonight? Okay.
Should have brought it.
You guys wanted a little more heat in here? I'm kind of chilly.
Yeah, it's gonna be chilly once I take my jacket.
I packed for snow. I got like 4 layers of clothes.
Should we turn it up 1 degree? 1 degree.
Mhm.
1 degree.
1 degree.
Do not expect.
Yeah, I know. I'll accept
It's one of those thermostats that's very sensitive.
Have you
Is
been
snow?
guys too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And my fingers are
everything.
cracking.
I know, I brought lotion. I was
Oh,
like,
God,
hi.
yeah.
It's so cold.
Okay, I thought it was just me, but I've got like hydration, chapstick. It's like, it's awful. It's like, I woke up and it was like immediately, like painfully chapped.
And you know what's kind of amazing? I'm not freaking out.
Yeah, right.
It's working.
Oh my
I
God.
shouldn't say it.
Don't, why would you say that?
I can't, don't.
The moment everything goes.
Don't jinx it.
As you should, because that's usually how it goes.
And we have, is it just panelists plugged in, or have we been?
Probably Android, there's one.
Sorry, 1, 2. Good evening, folks. Just checking in with folks on Zoom, whether or not you can hear me okay.
Like 98% of the agenda is consent.
I know.
I
I know.
saw that, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot of consent.
County agenda.
County agenda.
They have pages.
So you're talking about the agenda themselves, I was like, God, that's like twice the size of that.
Kristen, your hair.
I know your hair is really good. Thank you. I got it cut last week, and it's just been easier to curl than straighten at this point, so I'm like, okay.
I like that.
I was actually, before I came over, I was wearing a Johnny Cash shirt, and I'm like, that's fine, I'll just put a jacket over it, and I was like, maybe not the most appropriate.
So the biggest thing, if you don't, because audio coming in, comes in as a 202.
I think that whole thing.
Yeah, I'll go for fly. So the, so the shares or something over here now, already here, and then the share screen, and then it'll pop up.
Thought you're ready to party.
I need a hydrate.
Turn on. Zoom participants will need get behind it, how that works. But yeah,
So that's,
so there's a picture of this pond.
okay, got it.
So they'll have
Oh,
like the
got
Zoom view. And then
Julia,
you know, like,
good to see you.
Thank you. I know I met some of you guys
Yeah.
meeting, but here I am for the first individual meeting.
Awesome, nice to see a new face and
I'm excited to be here.
we're happy, I'm
go
happy.
on your video and then share screens and you're off the racetrack.
Jimmy, are we expecting Jacques? You haven't heard,
I've not heard you.
yeah, okay.
Is there double negative?
Is there reason you didn't? That we know? There's no one here either. It's really, maybe.
Because it's really not aware.
Tuesday.
It's
Oh, it's
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
and it's Thanksgiving week,
That's right.
no?
This is a month.
Oh. Uh-oh, should we call him?
Yeah,
I'll call him.
I didn't even think about that.
Me neither.
Tuesday meeting.
Oh, buddy. Stop it.
He's got the Zoom link too, if that's easier for him. That's still allowed.
It's on, voicemail. It went straight to voicemail.
Hmm.
Maybe Julie wanna email him.
We could-
Oh, I like it. Mm-hmm. I
I'll wait
like
a few
it.
minutes.
Oh, no, and I regret it already.
Yeah, I'm just,
Yeah. Hey, Julia, are there a lot of people on the Zoom link?
I'm person,
Just one.
and I don't see names or numbers, I can't. I'm just putting an email right now.
So it's weird to stay in the jacket the whole time? Well, I took the jacket off and it was too cold. Now I put it on and I feel like it's weird. I'm gonna take it off. Oh, my face wrinkled. There's no winning.
Sure, looks like he has a little spring in his step. Good. Give him until 5 after. You haven't heard anything, have you?
where's he joining? Maybe he was trying to call us. Are you aware that the meeting is tonight for Thanksgiving? Oh, yeah, we're one minute past.
The Zoom link.
In or do you want to Zoom in? Okay. Okay, he's in.
Zoom in. I'm gonna go ahead and start it.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. Sorry we're starting a few minutes late this evening. But I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Capitola City Council, which is being held on Tuesday, November 22nd, in view of the observance of Thanksgiving on this Thursday, which will be our regular scheduled council meeting. With that, I'll ask for a roll call.
Councilmember Brown,
Present?
Councilmember Brooks,
Here?
Vice Mayor Kaiser, here, Mayor Story,
Here.
and Councilmember Bertrand is absent.
maybe, I understand he's on his way, so maybe you could just make note when he arrives. And now, will everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, I'll ask if there's any additions or deletions to the agenda.
Staff has no changes to the agenda this evening.
Okay. No changes. We'll move on now then to presentations. And we have one presentation this evening, which is a staff introduction of our new city clerk, Julia Moss. Is there somebody that's going to lead us in this presentation? And Jamie?
I'm going to take a stab at it.
Go for it.
So I really want to welcome Julia Moss to Capitola as our new city clerk. She joins us from San Diego area, where she's worked as a deputy clerk for the cities of San Marcos and Oceanside. Julia actually went to the University of San Diego, obtained a bachelor's degree in sociology and communications. Has done a great job of sort of growing her skills both throughout her career. She's worked in the airline industry as well as for local government, and interestingly is also a native of Santa Cruz County. Grew up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and she's living in Scotts Valley. So really extend a warm welcome to Julia. Usually people get to attend these meetings and be introduced and then go home. Julia is on the job and working this evening, so.
Glad to be here.
You're welcome.
Well, would you like to say a few words, Julia?
Sure. Well, I'm really glad to be back in the area. I moved away from Santa Cruz County about almost 15 years ago now, and I didn't ever think I was going to come back. And when this opportunity presented itself, it really felt like a wonderful homecoming, and I'm really thrilled to be back working for a city that I grew up frequenting, and being closer to family is really wonderful for me. I appreciate the opportunity to serve you guys as a city clerk, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Okay. Council members, would you like to extend a welcome to Julia?
Welcome, and I apologize in advance for when things get crazy up here and you have to take the minutes for it.
Welcome, Julia. Excited to work with you. Same. I'm happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Yes, and well, congratulations on coming back home and on becoming part of the City of Capitola family. I think we feel fortunate to have you here with your background as a deputy clerk, and especially in the airline industry. You may be helping us to fly this ship in days to come. So welcome, Julia. We look forward to working with you. So do we have any additional materials for this evening's meeting?
Staff did receive a public comment related to item 8A, and a copy of that has been posted online, and there's a copy available for you today.
Okay. Thank you. This email will be included as part of the record. Before going any further, I did want to thank our technician for the evening, Eric, who is manning our audiovisual in the background there and making it available for future rebroadcast. Unfortunately, I don't have the information on those exact dates, but if you're interested, look it up on the City of Capitola's website. Next, we'll move on to oral communications. This is opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on items that are either not on tonight's agenda or are on tonight's consent agenda. For those of you in the audience, copies of the agendas are at the back of the chambers. So is there any member of the audience here in person that would like to address the council? Seeing none, Julia, do we have anyone on Zoom that would like to address the council?
No.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to staff and city council comments. We'll start with staff comments.
I have a couple of just short updates for council, starting at a very small scale. We have been using the funding. You'll recall in our budget this year, we allocated $100,000 to help do some work around City Hall. And you notice a couple items on your closed session, or your open session consent calendar agenda to approve a new roof and then some backup power generation as well. We've also been working hard upstairs. For those of you who haven't seen it, we actually have been finishing up kind of a staff reorganization, moving people around, and setting up a new meeting room, which is very exciting for us, because City Hall hasn't had a meeting room. So I want to thank the council for those funds, and we're looking forward to being able to invest in this facility. I also will note that we are hoping to be able to upgrade the public restrooms downstairs here, which I know have been needing upgrades for quite a while. Secondarily, as everyone is well aware, we have a request in, Congressman Panetta has requested $3.5 million to help fund our WARF project. That is contingent on the federal budget, which, as you probably know, still hasn't been adopted. My hope is that after the Thanksgiving break, they're going to roll up their sleeves, and we should be receiving word, hopefully, in a couple of short weeks after the Thanksgiving break.
Thank you. Any other staff comments? Seeing none, city council comments.
Yeah, I had a quick one. Sorry. Okay. Just that we, at our little city, is offering our free parking in the village, which is a great holiday tradition that we've done here to help promote small businesses and restaurants within the village. So it's 3 hours. It goes from Thanksgiving to Christmas. And shop.
We're gonna have the wreaths up soon too. Those are great selfie stations. If I could also make a quick comment.
Certainly.
I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the victims of the tragedy in Club Q in Colorado Springs this past week. This kind of senseless violence has no place in our society, and I'd like to ask our mayor if we might adjourn tonight's meeting in honor of those that were lost.
Certainly. I think that would be very fitting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments on, yes, Councilmember Bertrand.
My apologies to the council for being late, and thank you, Margo, for giving me a call. Emptying the garbage.
Glad you can make it.
Yeah.
Any other council comments? None? Okay, I have no comments, so now we'll move.
I do have a little
Go ahead.
comment about Club Q. And, you know, the person who was able to restrain the assault person. So, it's sort of like me. When in San Francisco, I went to a lot of gay clubs because there was a lot of different things happening there that was very interesting. And this assault was stopped by a person who brought with their family and kids there. So, I think the thing to dwell on is that it's a very inclusive community. And, you know, when I grew up in San Francisco, that was my experience, especially for AIDS and even after AIDS. Very inclusive community, and the sense that they were just so full of life and happy to be is something you truly have to experience, and it's often forgotten in our public discourse, but something truly amazing. So I think that fact is something to dwell on.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Bertrand. Next, we'll move on to the consent items for this evening. These items will be handled with a single vote unless the council member wishes to pull any item for further discussion. Just looking to my left, any items to pull? Looking to my right, no items to pull. So I'll entertain a motion, but I would like to ask that we have item F be pulled as a separate vote, since I have a conflict on that item, at least a piece of it. So if we could maybe, so I can recuse myself on that particular vote. So can we have a motion on the other items?
I could make a motion to consent items A through E.
Second.
And, well, and then G through L?
Oh,
No,
it's long, yeah. And G through L, please.
Okay, there's a motion by, Vice Mayor Kaiser and the second by Councilmember Bertrand. Can we have a roll call vote, please, on those items?
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Bud,
Aye.
Councilmember Bertrand,
aye.
Vice Mayor Kaiser,
Aye.
and Mayor Story.
Aye. Next, can we have a motion concerning item F? Maybe just, to explain why I asked for that separately, and that I'm gonna recuse myself on that because, parts of that pertain to the Monarch Cove, which is within my zone of conflict of interest. So, can we have a motion and a second?
I'll move approval of item F on consent.
I'll second.
There's a motion by Councilmember Brown, seconded by Councilmember Brooks. Can we have a roll call vote on that?
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Brooks, aye. Councilmember Bertrand,
I agree.
Vice Mayor Kaiser,
Aye.
and Mayor Story.
Recuse. That takes us to general government and public hearings for this evening. The first item A is the San Jose Avenue parking layout modifications. The recommended action is to authorize modifications to on-street parking on San Jose Avenue. Can we have a staff report, please?
All right, good evening, Mayor and council members. I am pleased to give my first staff report as member council here, seeking authorization for modifications to the parking layout on San Jose Ave. As you all know, in June, the city council adopted the coastal commission and conditions for the outdoor dining ordinance, and it went into effect. In August, the Capitol Wine Bar requested parking modifications on San Jose Avenue to better accommodate the outdoor dining in front of their business. Preliminarily, staff agrees that this new layout would improve outdoor dining. Prior to moving forward with the engineering review, the owners of the Capitol Wine Bar obtained support letters from their adjacent property owners, that being the Taffy Shop, West Coast Sausage Works, Chorizo's, Durango Store, and 120. The city then contracted with Emily Bourne to provide a site investigation of the existing street conditions and prepare conceptual design, which is very small on the screen up here. I do have a picture on the next slide. The proposed modifications mostly affect the south side and the left side of the street, and splits the diagonal parking in front of the restaurant businesses to make those parallel spots, and the diagonal parking on the lower side of the screen. You can see that a bit better in this screen. West Coast Sausage Works, Capitol Wine Bar, and Chorizo's has been working collaboratively to kind of arrange where their outdoor dining is going to be. These spots here are more just providing a visual. They are not by no means final delineations of their outdoor dining space. However, it does include their bicycle parking and other requirements of their outdoor dining space. And then you have your parallel or your diagonal spots on the opposite side of the street. This leaves a standard 10-foot drive lane. There are no net loss to parking. There are 28 spots now in this segment of street, and there's 28 spots here in the proposed configuration. The one difference being the ADA spot will move to the opposite side of the street into a parallel spot. So upon approval of this configuration this evening, the restaurants may proceed with the obtaining a building permit for their outdoor dining decks. Prior to construction of the first deck, projected in early 2023, staff will obtain bids and restrike the road site, which would require closing of the road for one day and at a cost of approximately $5,000. In conclusion, staff finds that the modified parking layout is the preferred configuration to accommodate long-term outdoor dining uses for the dining establishments on San Jose Avenue. And Community Development Director Fairley is available for any pending related questions, and I am happy to answer any public works related questions for this item.
The questions from council members? Yes, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. So you mentioned that after this, the businesses will be able to proceed with obtaining the permit. So they haven't been able to, up until now, because of this process, is that right?
This is per their request, so they have not moved forward because they were hoping that this request would be approved.
Sure, but the other businesses have since been able to start the process of obtaining their permits.
They have started their design.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? The staff report? I just had one question, Jessica. When they restrike the parking spaces, the numbers will be reordered, and will the parking meters need to be reprogrammed to accommodate that?
I think so, because the number of spaces on the side, each side of the street will change. So they will be the same numbers, but they will have to be reprogrammed.
Right, okay. And our system has the capability of adjusting, oh, good. Yeah, okay.
I just actually have one question, about the ADA spot. Will it be in an accessible way to get to the sidewalk? Like, is it gonna be the first spot on
Yes,
the?
it'll
Okay.
be where a existing curb cut is. With that. So it's the third slice from the bottom here, and there is a right-of-way alley right there in the curb cut.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Good. Seeing no other questions from council on the staff report, I'll open it up to members of the audience that would like to address the council on this item. Is there anyone that would like to speak? I'll check, Julie, anyone on Zoom that have their hands raised?
There are no speakers.
No speakers? Okay. Well, I'll bring it back to the council for further deliberation and possible action. Any opening thoughts by council members?
I just have a question or a comment rather based on the additional material that we received. You know, right now the businesses have until January 1st. And because of the additional time, I understand that it was, you know, at the request of the businesses, but I'm wondering if we could get any information about the potential for an extension for these particular businesses, since they haven't been able to go forward with their design while this was underway, and if there's any kind of impact that would prevent us from doing that otherwise.
We can be flexible with the businesses. Our protocol was to make sure that each business can work on their permits and sense their delay. And looking at this and having engineering, we definitely stay standard.
Okay, so just as long as there's momentum towards the end result, there is not a need for like a set additional deadline.
Correct.
Okay, well, thank you.
A follow-up to that, though, the rentals, is that effective starting January 1st or March the 1st, or
So the rent has been in place. since
it's already existing?
So we are
Okay.
collecting full rent from all establishments that are part of the salary, and they've just had to show us that they're working.
Okay.
Their landscape architect or the building plans they're in. We do have a guarantee that they have been working.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments on the item?
Does legal suggest that we add this extension to our motion this evening? I can't see Samantha on screen, so I don't know.
Well, I don't think we need one.
We don't need to,
As long as
so,
they're showing.
As long as they're showing they're still moving forward, it doesn't need to be done by
Okay.
January 1st, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, that's correct. There wasn't a hard deadline. The community development director in our published rules has the ability to extend it. So, you know, what Katie and I talked about is provided people are moving forward, there's obviously, this took a little bit longer to work this out, but provided we make seeing progress, plans are coming in, they're getting scheduled for the planning commission, that we would extend that date.
thank you. I'll go ahead and, move the authorizations for modifications to on-street parking on San Jose Avenue. I can second.
There's a motion by Councilmember Brooks, seconded by Vice Mayor Kaiser. I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Brown,
Aye.
Councilmember Rhodes,
Aye.
Councilmember Bertrand,
I agree.
Vice Mayor Kaiser, and Mayor Schwartz.
Aye. That motion passes unanimously, which will bring us to item 8B. That item is to, you're welcome, Josh. Good night. Yeah, you too. Happy Thanksgiving. The next item is 8B, which is to authorize a request for proposals for the J Street Park Universally Accessible Playground Project. And the recommended action is to authorize the Public Works Department to issue a request for proposals for the design of a universally accessible playground at J Street Park. And just so, okay, you're going to have two in a row? All right.
Staff is pleased to present the authorization for this RFP for a universally accessible, or UA, playground at J Street Park. So as you all know, J Street is a public park operated and maintained by the city under a long-term use agreement with the SoCo Union Elementary School District, which was reviewed this evening on the consent calendar. The proposed playground will replace an existing playground that was installed in 1999 and part of it in 2007, which is, as you likely would expect, a 15 to 20-year-old playground age. During the budget discussions for the fiscal year 22-23 budget, the council allocated $275,000. A little refresher from the budget discussions last May, a universally accessible playground and recreation area specifically built to facilitate opportunities for children of all abilities, obviously physical abilities, but then also children of all abilities. So it includes sensory, communicative, cognitive, other amenities to offer a really all-inclusive experience to remove barriers between children and give them a chance to play and work together. There's many examples of UA playgrounds in Northern California that have gone up in the past 5 to 10 years, but the most notable for us is one in our backyard at the Leo Haven at Chanticleer County Park that has a farm theme and opened in January of 2020. A major player of the development and fundraising for this park was the County Park Friends. Friends of County Park. Friends of County Park is a nonprofit whose mission is to maximize the use of county parks for all users. To focus on programming, but also facilitate fundraising for capital projects. Most recently, they've funded to construction Leo Haven and Hidden Beach County Park, and currently have funding campaigns open for Floral County Park and Gulf Street County Park. Staff is pleased to report that the Friends Board of Directors have conceptually approved partnering with the city on a fundraising effort for UA Playground at J Street Park, subject to approving a formal agreement or an MOU with the city. We get to an MOU with the city and the Friends. We need a conceptual design. So assuming that we are approved to issue an RFP next week, we would be developing a conceptual design over the spring and summer of July 2023 and starting a fundraising campaign in the fall of 2023. Pretty streamlined for our park development, however, it fits in with the County Park Friends schedule of their kind of fundraising and their overall schedule and their availability. So the RFP that was included in your packet this evening includes tasks, including community input, which is really an important part of developing a conceptual design. It would involve community meetings, surveys, really being able to get the feedback for the users of the improved park. It would explore a range of budget options, which the budget would really be dependent on the footprint and then the design element. So on the screen, there's a picture of the playground site, which is current, and then potential park areas at the playground site or other amenities to move into. Elements such as walkway connections, picnic shelters, rubberized play surfaces, benches, things to really optimize park use for the users. From that effort, we would come up with a robust conceptual design, so something really detailed, something with a very honed-in cost estimate to create visuals and help potential donors really understand the project and the project components. All the way down to specific elements, like on the bottom of the screen there, for people to sponsor specifically, such as a zip line or other tactile items, really giving different ranges for people to donate and be involved in the project.
So the city has done previous fundraising efforts, most recent for the library, and prior to that from Charter Park. This model with the Friends is really us the city, after developing the really detailed concept plan, handing it over to the MOU, and then doing all of the fundraising efforts. So they really spearheaded to meet the funding gap between the improvement cost and the money that the city has already put towards the project. They handle the advertising, press releases, they set up a platform for donations. They also do some listing of potential sponsors. Something like this is usually, in the Friends experience, about a year-long effort. And during that time, as we get closer to our fundraising goals, we would get our final plan specifications and estimates completed, so we have a shovel-ready project at the same time that the fundraising comes to a close. And the fun part, we get to do construction. So these projects usually take about 6 to 12 months to construct, just depending on the scope of the project. Our goal here by having a fundraising campaign start next fall is to have a completed park open to the public by fall of 2020. So the recommendation is up on the screen. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from council members on the staff report? Five? Yes, Councilmember Bertrand.
I was looking at that picture and it looked like a bunch of citizens rather than company workers putting things together. Is that part of
You
the
get the
plan?
concept.
I just wanted to wonder about that.
Okay.
I put together a swing at UCSC, and that was a fun project, but it would have gone a lot faster if there were contractors.
I just wanted to clarify that under the RFP, we're asking the respondents to provide, is it 2 or 3 conceptual designs?
So we're asking them initially to provide 3 kind of basic designs to kind of take back to the council and the community and choose kind of our budget to go. So a high, medium, a low, and then we would have a more robust design depending on what kind of budget you wanted to go with.
Yeah, I just want to, on page 313 of our agenda packet, and it's page 4 of 9 of the RFP, there just seems to be a little typo in where it refers to, it says developing 2, under paragraph 2, it's developing 2 in parentheses, it has the number 3. So just maybe just wanted to bring that to your attention before it goes out.
Noted, thank you.
And so with, yes, Councilmember Bertrand.
So the Friends going to be doing the fundraising or spearheading that. How about involvement with our citizens here? Is that they're going to outreach to us? Is there any coordination in that? I mean, what is our conceived part of that besides?
For the fundraising piece specifically?
Yes.
What else, please? Okay.
So I don't know exactly what model the Friends of County Parks would use. I would definitely lean on their expertise because this is what they do. They do fundraising campaigns. But often in fundraising campaigns there's a quiet period where you identify community leaders, people who will be supporters of the project, who are going to step forward and make immediate donations and announce. So in my experience, and again, I would defer to their sort of judgment and how they would advise. But yes, there's a very strong component of being involving the community and making sure you're outreaching to the right people, and the right people are outreaching to the right people. It's all very, whole profession in and of itself, how to be a really effective fundraiser.
Okay, thanks for that.
Any other questions on the staff report? Seeing none, I'll say, are there any members of the public that would like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, do we have anyone on Zoom that would like to address the council? All right, thank you. Well, I'll bring it back for the council for further deliberation and action.
I'm sorry, if I may?
Yes.
Well, I just want to say I'm really, really excited about this opportunity for our community, and I'm really excited to have this governing body, the folks around me today here to help make this move forward, and have the support of my fellow council members. on such a really important project, an impactful project for not just the city of Capitola, but for the county as we spearhead, as we become a model for other communities, not just here in this county, but statewide. So I appreciate your support on this and the community support as we move forward in the fundraising process. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the Public Works Department to issue a request for proposals for the design of a universally accessible playground at Jade Street Park.
Is there a second? Yes, there's a motion by Councilmember Brooks, seconded by Councilmember Bertrand. Before we go to the roll call vote, I just want to say, I was very excited to see the drawings, the potential drawings of what that playground will look like one day in the future. I'm also excited about having a community fundraising goal here. We recently, just 2 years ago, went through a community fundraising project for the Capitola Library. I just wanted, that was tremendously successful. The community really, reached out and helped us reach our goals. Actually, we exceeded the goals that we had originally set for the Capitola Library. So I know that this campaign will be well received within the community, and there will be a lot of community participation to help us reach this goal and achieve this really tremendous, I think, public infrastructure project. So thank you, Jessica, for bringing this to us, and I'm sure the council will be looking forward to seeing this as it progresses, and I'll be watching from the outside. So with that, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
Councilmember Brooks?
Aye.
Councilmember Bertrand?
I agree.
Vice Mayor Kaiser? Aye. And Mayor Story?
Aye.
I just said, Mayor Story said he'll be the first to donate.
I'll be looking for you to come back and remind me of that. Next, we'll move on to item 8C, which is to receive the 2022 special event report and provide direction for reoccurring 2023 events. The recommended action is to receive the report, provide direction regarding changes to specific reoccurring special event permit conditions, and determine if any additional review should be required for any 2023 special events.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here this evening to present the report on this last year's 2022 special events, and then have you take a look at those reoccurring special events, the different permit conditions that we have, and then determine if there's any review that we need to look into, and then ultimately make a motion to permit those reoccurring 2023 permits. So just a little bit about the special event permit process, the review that we do. Any new general special events, so that'd be the major events that we have, has to come back before City Council for any new event. The city manager can approve any new minor events, so those are those events that are under 200 people. And then the City Council can also, and that's the purpose of this evening, is that we can approve planned reoccurring events without, as long as there's no significant changes to those events. So the police department, we issue the permits. Like I said, the general special events permits are over 200 people and have significant impact to city services. That'd be like the 4th of Court, the car show, art and wine. Minor special event permits are under 200 attendees and have minimal impact to city services. So those are sometimes the surf contest, the skateboard contest, the tipping strolls. Then we also have the art and cultural events. Those are the Wednesday night concerts and the movies at the beach, those different events. So So in 2022, the police department issued 11 general special event permits, 17 minor special event permits, and then 23 art and cultural permits. Here's a list of the general permits that we had. So the bigger ones are, again, like the Art and Wine, the Capitola Car Show, Wharf to Wharf, and the Mine Fireworks. Minor special events. We have the Tip and Strolls, Operation Surf, Village Feature Egg Hunt, the Halloween Parade, and the 23 art and culture special events. So those are the art and music and speech, the Wednesday, or the type of Wednesday night concerts, for the beach and Friday night concerts, or Friday night. Just a little recap. So we've returned to pre-pandemic levels. So all the special events kind of came back for this year. Highlights for this year, through a grant, we were able to install or have bollards that are installed. That we installed in strategic locations throughout the village that allow us to have locked-in bollards that prevents vehicles from coming in, also prevents vehicles from leaving. We also worked collectively with Central Fire to deploy what we call critical response teams. So we team up with the fire department officer with the fire department personnel. We actively patrol the event, and if anything were to happen, they're right on scene. So that's been something that we added this year. It's been a really good cooperative effort with the fire department. And then we've also done a joint command. So we have a captain and then a captain or the chief with our department that we have a unified command be pre-established. So we established that incident command system. So if in the event something were to happen, we pre-established that joint command allows us to respond more effectively. And then did have one event for 2022, and that was the first responder surf contest. And in total, staff billed 384 hours of lease time and 83 hours of public works time. All the fees and those hours were paid by all the event organizers. As part of it, staff meets with each event organizer, and we also prepare an operations order, and then we do an after actions report. We did receive a few complaints. We received a complaint through the Art and Wine. There were some parking complaints in the neighborhood. There was also complaints about vehicles being ticketed in the permitted zone. And then we did have a traffic complaint of diversion traffic on the Bamwalk. Mine Fireworks, we had complaints about the debris. We also had complaints about the sounds and then the impacts of both domestic and native animals. These complaints are kind of typical for these events. We didn't have anything else that was brought to our attention. And again, each of these things are talked about with event organizers, and we tend to address, like the traffic complaints, we'll tend to address those issues. So that wraps it up. So the recommended action is to provide direction regarding changes to the specific recurring special event conditions and determine if there's any additional review to be required for any planned reoccurring 2023 special events.
Questions from council members?
I have a question, just because that one email, or a couple emails about the parking ticket
Right.
enforcement. Do you think, should we maybe post more obvious signage leading up to the event? Or I know that it's pretty obvious, and the people that live here know that it is, but I understand visitors coming may not read the signs, and there wasn't even a visitor that was upset about it, so I don't know if, it matters. It might be just a moot point, but maybe just putting out how we do when we're, gonna not allow parking in the village, maybe those kinds of signs a day or two in advance, just to be clear.
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to increase definitely the noticing, on our social media platforms.
Yeah.
We can absolutely. And it's a challenge because the neighborhood that you're talking about is permitted in Capitola, but then right across the railroad track is the county, which is not permitted. So people, I think, are just confused with where the parking boundaries are.
Yeah.
And then they're fighting for spots. Some even are willing to take the ticket.
Totally, yeah.
Just to have a parking spot. So it's a challenge that, signage is one of the things we can absolutely think of.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Councilman.
Two questions. One is about, the significant amount of debris from the fireworks. And my own anecdotal observation was there was just a lot more fireworks. It was a magnificent show. And I'm just wondering if, and maybe this is a question we can have come back to us, of like, because maybe there's more fireworks exploded, that there's more debris, and if that's something we need to discuss just to make sure we're following all safety guidelines and the sanctuary, rules and protection issues. And then my second is about Halloween. We had a wonderful, humongous turnout, and I'm just wondering if we need to reconsider that as a special event instead of a minor event for next year, and if there's been conversations about that.
So actually, I can talk about the debris to start with. Yes, so the debris is an issue. A lot of it depends on, we get the south winds that will come up in the evening, and so that debris, it would end up in the ocean, it ends up on property owners, and so that's where we get the complaints. But we can obviously look into to what the regulations are.
That'd be great, yeah.
And in addition, and correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that the event organizers actually contract with Sailor Shores and conduct 2 post-event beach cleanup events to get the debris off the beach and out of the ocean. Is that correct?
I would believe.
Yeah, I've read that in the SEP. So
That would be great if staff can bring that back to council so it can remind us and we can remind the community about how we can all participate in events like that. Not all of our constituents use Facebook or social media platforms. I'm just wondering if we'll put it in our newsletter, things like that, just to ensure that everyone knows about those opportunities. But I'm still interested in ensuring that we're up to standards of what the rules are for the sanctuary.
Is that a future agenda item, or is it more just sort of information?
Informational. I don't need a study.
Okay.
And then for Halloween?
Yeah, and then for the Halloween parade, we actually encouraged the chamber to actually file a permit this year, and in the past, they haven't done that.
Yeah.
And so this was the first year, and so they started with the minor permit, which is, again, it's around the 200 person mark, but it also has to do with significant impacts to the city, our function. So because it is kind of a shortened duration, it's right on the edge of whether it needs to kind of move into that higher category. With that, it becomes just more permit fees, and the cost then kind of gets pushed over to the chamber.
Okay. Do you know offhand what the difference is between a minor event and special event in terms of cost?
Cost, I know the insurance and stuff. I don't know the exact cost. It just depends on, I can say for even my minor, the skateboard event is like $600 in insurance. So I'm not sure if it goes up for a general event.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to require that change if it doesn't allow for that kind of, for the Halloween event to happen if they can't afford it or something like that.
Or maybe it could be other parameters other than just the 200 mark. Like if it is like you're stating, like the impact, how short the duration of the event is or something, like that could be considered as far as costs and all that too.
So my questions, yes.
So the history actually of the children's parade is quite interesting. I think it just sort of evolved, and for a long time they didn't actually put a permit for it. It just happened, and the city participated very actively, and the chamber participated, and the businesses participated, but there was no necessarily one organizer that was organizing everything. So we're trying to put a little bit more structure around it, because, it isn't a very long duration event, but it's a lot of people, right? And so we do want to make sure that we have a real critical incident team that's prepared and ready to respond. So we're cognizant of not just throwing a bunch of costs on the chamber an event that's really beloved by the community and also been a real partnership for many years. So we're trying to put a little bit more structure around it, but do it in a responsible way.
Councilman Booker Trent.
Yeah, I really appreciate the change and focus on organizing and setting up command centers. I think that's critical, especially from the way the public feels about how events are being conducted. I mean, that's what you're trying to do. In the past, there used to be a lot of letters about the idea of we're just inundated with events and the people that are sort of taking away from the quality of the village and the town. And I haven't seen those emails lately. And you have a sense about, how the public is responding, especially the residents downtown, in terms of their feeling about the number of events, the impact on the community, that kind of thing.
I would say that we're at that capacity. I mean, I think there's a tremendous amount of special events. I think, the village has almost events almost every weekend. And it does have an impact on, like the businesses, depending on what event, some thrive, some, it just depends on what happens with the different events. But I do feel that we're at kind of that capacity. But, as we kind of add more, we've added like the Women on Waves. The Women on Waves became a 1 day to 2 day, but then the J race went away. So we've kind of maintained about that 11 for the generals, and then the minors hasn't changed too much. So I think we're at a pretty good place as far as, I think we're right at that capacity.
Okay. And some things are still impromptu, like the ukulele thing and such. And how's that turning out? I mean, every time I go down, it's a great thing, but is there anything that's ever come up to your attention?
No, I haven't received any complaints. I know they work well with the different event organizers, and I think at times they even bring a fun element to a lot of them.
Right.
So they're a welcomed addition.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to, the conversation about the Monte fireworks extravaganza and the debris cleanup. I guess I did want to acknowledge, I got emails and pictures from residents who were at the beach the next morning, and they were actually showing, all the exploded pieces of ordnance that was all over the beach. And I think it would behoove us to try to get out in front of that and let the community know that we have an active cleanup response team that's going to be there and and picking up whatever debris may be left over, just so that at least the community knows that we're aware of it, and that we are wanting to put this on in as environmentally friendly manner as we possibly can, with that kind of activity. And then also with the, I did want to let you know that at the last Arts Commission meeting, and Nikki can confirm this, that we had a discussion about the art and music at the beach. We have lost our coordinator that did that for the Arts Commission, and there were some identified issues about having that being an ongoing event at that particular location. There's just certain things on a Sunday at the beach in the summer, it can get kind of congested and logistically difficult with these various uses. So I think the council will want to at least monitor and work with the Arts Commission closely, and seeing if it's even going to be possible to resurrect the art and music at the beach or maybe some other location that may be more suitable. So I just wanted to share that discussion that took place at the Arts Commission at our last meeting. So are there any other questions? Seeing none, are there any members of the public that would like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, anyone on Zoom?
There are no speakers.
No speakers, okay, thank you. With that, I'll bring it back for the council, and I think the only action is to receive the report, so I don't think we need a motion on this particular one.
No, but I just did want to, because it was on the slide for a special event, that Surf and Santa's this weekend. So if anyone was not aware, Santa's surfing in on Saturday.
All right.
Happy waves too.
Ooh.
That was good.
Okay.
Well, with that, that brings us to item 9, adjournment. As requested, I'm going to adjourn this meeting in honor of the victims of the Club Q tragedy in Colorado Springs. You know, it's always heartbreaking when we wake up and hear about another mass shooting in our country. And hopefully, you know, with that can come to an end, and that we can do what we can so that no community has to bear those, you know, tragedies and wear those scars. And just, I think from all of us, our heartfelt, you know, sympathies to the loss of the people of Colorado Springs. And I believe this affects everyone in Colorado Springs, not just, you know, the immediate victims or the immediate families of the victims. So with that, I'm going to adjourn this meeting in honor of the victims of that shooting and the people of Colorado Springs. And I will adjourn this meeting until our next regularly scheduled meeting on December 8th, 2022 at 7 p.m. That's 7 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I was thinking, you're right. That meeting will be at 6 p.m. on December the 8th, 2022. You don't want to miss it because it's going to be a transition of the city council after the confirmation of the election. So thank you, everyone, and good night.
Margaret, be sure you phone me.
I'll call you. Earlier.
Will we get an update for our calendar? Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, Sam.
Is that you?
Yeah.